Good morning to all of you good citizens assembled here, and good afternoon to Barry Friedman, who should be appearing. Is Barry there? Hi, Barry.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to be here. This is Charles and Etta Carter. I've traveled around now with them in my head for quite a long time, and I want to tell you a story about them. So Charles and Etta Carter were in their car heading north on I-95 through Maryland on a very, very hot July day when they were stopped by the Maryland Patrol. The officer that stopped them explained that Charles was driving in a, and I quote, wobbly fashion. Charles had never in his life had any traffic infraction. They took them out of the van and they sat them up on an embankment in front of traffic on that hot day, and they proceeded to take the van apart. Etta Carter had a bladder problem, and they traveled with a porta potty. And on 3 occasions, Etta got up and asked to use the porta potty, and the officers refused to let her do that. And so finally, sitting out there on that hot July sun, Etta soiled herself. And when the officers were done, having found nothing because there was nothing ever to find, they left, leaving the Carters to head off to a rest stop and for Etta to deal with her huge embarrassment. The Carters came back to Philadelphia. They spent several sleepless nights. They didn't know what to do. They eventually went to the AAA. The AAA led them to the ACLU of Maryland, and they sued and eventually recovered a judgment from the Maryland State Patrol. Why do we care? Because any time that policy is made, there's a set of questions that we ought to be asking that don't always get asked if the public isn't involved on the front end. One is there a need for what the police are doing? We want to ask whether the thing even works. We want to ask, have we minimized the harm? It is simply a fact of policing that there will be coercion, that there will be surveillance of individuals. That is what policing is about. And we want that, but we want to minimize it.
What you generally see is that back-end oversight. What is unique about LA is that we have both front-end and back-end oversight. And that you might think that's because we're incredibly enlightened in Los Angeles. That's not really the case. It's because a lot of the trauma that other cities are facing now and a lot of the issues that have come to light, LA has dealt with much earlier.
The police have an expertise that they need to bring to bear, but they need to do it in the context of hearing from the public what the public wants, not just at election time, but all the time. And so that's what our commission is designed to have happen. And it's the sheriff, I think, has to get used to the process of interacting with the public through a commission more because it hasn't been the practice in the past.
The League of Women Voters is certainly interested in this topic, and we'll continue to have discourse and dialogue, and we'll even buy your book, Barry. Thank you very much, all of you.